Hi guys, today we will talk about the Vaxee's newest mouse release, the E1. Some of you with good eyes might see it already, but the shape of this mouse is basically the same as the Zowie EC2 with some minor alterations. It is by far the most iconic ergonomic mouse shape, and over the years it has been copied so many times, and now Vaxee wanted to do theirs as well. The guy who originally designed the EC2 shape is actually Xanver, the CEO of Vaxee, so I'd say releasing it now is more than justified, and from my time of testing this I can say that this is the best iteration of the mouse shape so far. Specs wise, it is another mouse from Vaxee using the newest Pixar 3950 sensor together with Pixar's MCU, and they have developed the firmware in collaboration with Pixar as well to really fine-tune their wireless tech up to their esports oriented standards. The key points of the E1 shape is that it offers a really comfortable tilt to your hand, nice grooves for your fingers, and especially this upper right corner is one of my favorites since I can hook my ring finger up there to provide more stability. It is a shape that just fits my relaxed claw grip very well. I don't have the EC2 here to compare, but compared to another EC2 shape clone, the Pulsar X-Lite V3 ES, there are some minor differences as well. In many ways, these two feel similar in hand, but the major differences are happening on the button area and mainly in those front corners. The base of the X-Lite extends further and those corners just have less curvature here, which means I can't really hook my ring finger there with my short fingers as well as I can with the E1. The button comfort grooves also feel quite different, with the Pulsars having more drastic grooves there. The Pulsar X-Lite is a really good ergo mouse, but from these, the E1 just feels more comfortable and more nimble in hand at the same time. Next, I will just show how the size differs from some more well-known mice I have here, so the GPX2, GPX2 Dex, and Viper V3 Pro. So to wrap up the shape here, it is one of the safest ergo recommendations I can give you. The weight of this mouse is around 60 to 61 grams, which for Vaxee is very lightweight, and together with the coating and the shape, it is a weight that suits this mouse really well. Vaxee is not a company that wants to risk shell integrity when pursuing lower weights, so it's nice to see how far they have gone from when they released their first wireless mouse. The weight balancing feels also very good on this mouse. It's very centered, and in hand it feels just very natural to hold on to. It doesn't feel like a dense mouse. It feels like the weight is also like distributed very evenly across the mouse shell, which makes a good ergo mouse in my opinion. The build quality feels very rigid like usually with Vaxee's mice, and like you would guess, the sides don't flex, the shell won't creak, and this time they also have improved their click structure. So now they don't have any side play or very minor side play when bottoming out, which was a thing on my AX. Also, when testing this mouse right beside my MPO1S wireless, which has a older click structure, the difference in the click feeling is quite substantial. In game, I would not probably care which one I'm clicking, since Vaxee's clicks feel very good overall with the Huano buttons, but comparing these two implementations side by side, the NPO1's clicks feel just more flimsy. Now with the E1, they implemented something called a two-piece switch design, which shortens the click distance and lessens the wobble, and they have really done a good job here. Here is a quick close-up on the click sound and the post and pre-travel. The side buttons are also very nicely done, and I really dig their new design here, where there is a nice gap between them that we don't have in the older wireless mice, and the click of the side button is very crisp overall. The scroll wheel is also their same good Vaxee scroll with a well-balanced scroll wheel click with no issues here at all. On the bottom we now have two buttons here which you can use to configure the mouse settings, since on Vaxee mice you can say goodbye to any external software hogging your resources on your PC, and everything happens on the mouse itself. First button is the power button, which you need to hold down to actuate. Then the other one is used to cycle between settings. I won't go in depth with everything you can change here, since from the box it is set to the best settings mostly, but there are some settings I can show you here. Firstly, to select which settings you want to change, a polling rate, DPI or debounce time, you would need to hold the selector button down for 2 seconds and the light will cycle to the corresponding setting. So the polling rate can change between 500 to 4000 Hz, and it is set to 4000 Hz when all the 3 LED lights light up. DPI will change between 400 to 3200 DPI, and I use 1600 on mine since it will saturate 4K polling enough for me. With the debounce time, they now actually allow you to set it at 0 milliseconds, which is huge if you care about click latency, since before the minimum amount was 2 milliseconds. I can't verify any click latency results with Vaxee mice since XLAT doesn't really read those, but now the performance should be better in that regard as well. So 0 milliseconds is where I want it to be, and that is when the light is on the L letter indicating low. Then there is the competitive mode setting, which is on by default, and motion sync, which is off by default, which are just the way I want them to be. With these settings, the motion latency was just around the same as before, so 0.6 milliseconds compared to a wired control unit. I know I said no more graphs and numbers, but I can't really help myself. I also tested the competitive mode on 1K polling to see how it performs, and for those who want to prioritize battery life, the 1K competitive mode without motion sync is something I can recommend also, since it yields really nice performance numbers, also averaging around minus 0.15 milliseconds compared to my control unit. Then moving on from my main game, the mouse tester, the performance feels really nice in Apex as well, and at 4K polling I didn't experience any kinds of stutters at all. One thing I needed to adjust a little bit is the sensor position, which is a tiny bit further on the back compared to some other mice I have been using lately, but luckily it is not like super far back. In my hand it sits just right below the point my thumb makes contact with the mouse, so the difference between this and the GPX2 Dex is actually not that drastic. The 0 milliseconds debounce has not produced any double clicking for me either, so I think it's really good they finally had the courage to do that for their mice. Overall, I'm really digging this mouse, and it might even take the top spot as my favorite ergo mouse, since it really just delivers all I want from an ergo mouse. The new color they released also with this mouse, this blue and the red one, look really nice, and the coating is still their very creepy paint-like matte coating. The skate design is also unchanged from the one they use on the AX, NPO1 and NPO1S, so I was able to put some jades I had bought for my NPO1S after I wore the E1 stock skates out on a glass pad, which is a nice thing from them to do. Logitech, take note, please, I beg you. But yeah, overall, it is an ergo mouse that I can very firmly recommend. It is a solid offering and a nice addition to Vaxee's lineup. But that's about it. Thanks for watching and see you on the next one. Goodbye.